Hi, this week we are looking at emotional intelligence and how that relates to communication practices and organizational settings and contexts. An organization is a group of people that meeting a need or sharing a collective goal. So, a workplace would be an organization. It doesn't just have to be a workplace. It could be nonprofit. There's definitely multiple organizations that you can be a part of other than just a workplace. But obviously, workplaces are what we are kind of focusing on. There's definitely a connection between emotional intelligence and being an effective leader. Emotional intelligence helps you to regulate your own emotions, be able to understand other people's emotions, and be able to use that information to then be able to use that for social problems and being able to solve those in a workplace environment. I do want to share this graph or chart from core leadership communication reading. That's emotional intelligence at the top, and then the three kind of sections of emotional intelligence: appraisal and expression of emotion, regulation of emotion, and utilization of emotion. So for the appraisal and expression of emotion, there's self, which is verbal and nonverbal. Your thoughts and how you express yourself verbally to other people. Making sure that you're not yelling at, for verbal, I feel like you want to make sure that you're leading positively and not yelling at people unnecessarily, in my opinion. Or just non-verbally, how your body language is, how you treat people. And then others, their nonverbal, your perception of their nonverbal cues, and then having empathy for other people's emotions. Not just be like, oh, you feel like that, sorry, that sucks. Actually trying to empathize with them and understand them. Then for regulation of emotion, you want to regulate your emotions in yourself, because if you don't let your emotions be regulated, you can let yourself get unnecessarily angry, unnecessarily sad, and just let yourself not be in the best mind state or headspace for a leader. And then you can also help to regulate the emotions in other people if you're able to also do it in yourself. You can then help other people to also be able to stay in check with their emotions. And then utilization of emotion includes flexible planning, creative thinking, motivation, redirected attention. So, every leader wants to be able to motivate their team. And I feel like it's easier to do that when you have a strong emotional intelligence than if you don't. Because sometimes your team could be well, I'm not going to listen to that guy because he doesn't even care about me or how I feel or think. But if they do it they're like, oh no, he really tries to understand me or she tries to understand me, and then they'll maybe be more motivated to be reaching those goals that the organization is trying to reach. And then and also I know that also we were going over gendered issues and how there can be more microaggressions against women, and oftentimes from men. If men have a better emotional intelligence, then they can be more aware of those gendered issues by having empathy for their female coworkers and trying to understand, even though they can't fully understand female issues, trying to empathize with female coworkers will definitely I think, help like men in the workplace be able to have a better emotional intelligence and be able to stop some of those, some of these here. Some of these like underlying mindsets that are embedded in microaggressions, such as women are objects, stereotype gender roles, second-class citizen, denial of existence of sexism, ignoring gender. Like, these are the underlying mindsets that men can have that they might not try to empathize with women because they think women are just objects and that they can do whatever they want with a woman's body, like put their hands on them, touch their waist, whatever they want to do that makes them feel comfortable, because it's fine. Like, women are just there for the betterment of men sometimes, in men's view, unfortunately, and that's definitely like an underlying belief that needs to be changed, and to be told no, that is not correct and that is not right. And I do like how this article shows women how to stand up to these microaggressions. And then our case study, question, so how does our case studies especially question or critique the norms of leadership communication practices in traditional organizational setting? And as Luke said, that the case study talks about how women are lacking in the leadership pool, so that their voices are not often heard as much as men, because obviously men make up most of the leadership pool. There are more women CEOs now than there were even 50 years ago, but it's nowhere near the amount of men in those type of positions. So because of that, women aren't given as much of a voice, and so sometimes women can fall into non-assertive assimilation, disengaged assimilation, and assertive accommodation. So non-assertive assimilation would be just staying mute and quiet and just going along with whatever the man leader says is right, because it's just easier than trying to argue with them in some people's minds or in their view. So they just stay quiet and stay mute and just kind of, don't actually share their thoughts and feelings. Then there's disengaged assimilation. Just trying to give myself a refresher. And then the non-assertive, or the disengaged assimilation, would be trying to separate themselves from the dominant organizational leadership, trying to remove themselves from that and make themselves differ from that. And then assertive accommodation would be trying more to align themselves with the dominant party to fit in. And I think sometimes that's what can happen when women end up tearing down other women instead of lifting them up. They're just trying to push their way to the top, and they see men doing these things, so they try to take that and use it as well, but then it just ends up not necessarily backfiring, because women can still make it in leadership positions that way, but it definitely makes it harder for them to be able to relate to other women and be able to have that connection with women, instead of having a fighting relationship with another woman in the same workplace. What specific strategies do our case studies offer for effective leadership communication practices for women in organizational settings? I did really like the communication styles that they had for women to help put a stop to microaggressions. Like the strategies that they had were assertive accommodation, assertive communication, humor, bystander interpersonal communication, collaborative communication, and inclusive communication. Just to go back and kind of look over what they said here. So assertive accommodation. So this shows like their assertive accommodation shows their unwillingness to like put up with that behavior. They will put a stop to it. I like the example that they give. Like that their sexist beliefs won't be tolerated and that they need to put a stop to it. Also, then assertive communication definitely like is a little bit kind of similar, but like it's definitely important to use that strategy, like in the example that they provide, like when when a man's being told that, like a man takes another woman's idea and like sells it as his own, like, and then get told, oh, you're just being sensitive. It's definitely like important to tell them like, no, like do not do that again, like that is inappropriate and that is not like, I'm not being like sensitive, like these are legitimate concerns. Like definitely important to have confidence in yourself. And I feel like it's a little bit scary to stand up to somebody like that, but I definitely like this communication strategy. Then humor, I have definitely used humor before. Like when someone has taken my idea and then I'm like, that seems to have been my idea, but like funny how now it's your idea because you liked it so much. So now you're gonna make it your own and take my like idea as yours, huh? It's definitely like a better way to be able to still like tackle the microaggression and tell them that they're wrong, like, but it puts a little bit of like a playful likeness to it. That way, hopefully, they won't be super angry. Because I feel like as women, like we can be afraid of like the aggression from men and how they might react to us standing up for ourselves, and that definitely humor can kind of soften that blow. And then bystander interpersonal communication is when like helping other women to realize that they are having microaggressions, like behaviors like against them, because sometimes it is hard for other women to like realize that they're being like aggressive, they having these microaggressions against them. And then the next one is collaborative communication, which is women working together to realize the microaggressions and be able to work together to put a stop to that and put their male coworkers in their place or other fellow women that do not realize that they are also taking place in these microaggressions. And then inclusive in communication. And this would be like making sure that like all everyone's ideas are like valued, like men have their ideas valued, women have their ideas valued. They all work together to make like the workplace better. I'm almost running out of time here, but my own experiences, I have had microaggressions done against me. I've had people tell me, like I've been written up for things that I shouldn't have been written up for, and I've had microaggressions done against me when I feel like there was no reason for it. And it's making me realize that, yeah, it was definitely because I am a